Hi, I'm Philip VanDusen, and this video is part 2 of Brand Yourself or Die. So in this channel, I share insights on strategic branding and graphic design for entrepreneurs, creative professionals, and brand owners. In this video is part 2 of a video called Brand Yourself or Die. And if you haven't watched part 1, hit stop, go back and watch part 1, and then come back to this. So in this video, part 2, I'm going to talk about an 8-step process for branding or rebranding yourself. In part 1, I talked a little bit about how our economy is moving from a full-time work culture to a contracting culture. And so by developing an independent personal brand presence online, you're essentially developing a career insurance policy. So let me outline for you right now an 8-step process for branding or rebranding yourself. Number 1, current state. You want to create a really clear picture of what your current state of your personal brand is. So where is it that you show up? Do you have a LinkedIn profile? Which social media platforms are you on? Do you have a website? You want to create a clear picture of your current state so as you build it out to your future state, you know where it is that you're starting from. Number 2 is creating a future state. So you want to create as clear a picture as you can of what the future state of your personal brand is online as you can. Now, you may not know exactly what that is, and that it's okay if this picture evolves over time or changes, but you have to start laying out goals if you're ever going to get there. There's a great book that's gone through multiple editions called What Color is My Parachute? So if you're having a hard time trying to find out where it is that you want to go or discovering your passion, check that book out. I also did a video on how to find your passion, and you might want to go back and look at that too. So what is it that you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? You want to capture all these things as goals so you can build out what it is that you need to get there. Covering every single stage of how to get to a future state is way too much to cover in this one single video. So make sure you're subscribed so you can see my videos as they come out. Number 3 is skills. Capture the skills that you have so you can know maybe what skills you're going to need to get to that future state. So what applications do you know? Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro. What skills do you have? Do you have budgeting, or do you have promotional or sales or marketing experience? Capture those skills so you know what you have and so you know what you're going to need to get to where you want to go. Number 4 is capturing your connections or your network. You can't do everything yourself. So you want to make sure that you're capturing who your network is and who you can learn from, who you can possibly bring into a mastermind group or ask to be a mentor to help you get to that next step. Figure out what it is that you can do for yourself, but that also who might you need to employ or who might you need to interact with in order to do things that aren't necessarily within your skill set. Number 5 is audience. Who's your target customer? Who's your target audience? Where do they hang out? You have to think about how that audience consumes information, and that's the place that you want to be. So you may be more comfortable in Snapchat or on Twitter, but if your customer watches videos or is in the blogosphere, that's where you want to show up. So think about your audience in terms of where it is that you're showing up as your personal brand. Number 6 is channels. What channels or brand touchpoints do you have? Do you have a website? Do you have social media, LinkedIn profile? What aspects of your personal brand have you developed, and therefore, what are you missing? And why have you chosen those channels? Have you chosen those channels because that's where your audience is? Or have you chosen those channels just because that's where you're more comfortable or that's what you're most interested in? You want to think of it through a different filter in terms of your audience and who it is you're trying to reach. The other thing you want to really keep in mind are how many of those brand touchpoints or channels are supportable. A lot of people try to be everywhere. They try to be on Snapchat and Twitter and Facebook, and they drive themselves crazy trying to develop content or interact on way too many channels. And they don't go deep enough to develop relationships and conversations within the channels where their customers show up. So give some thought about how deep you can go into what channels. Number 7 is brand design. So I'll do a little plug here for a mini ebook that I have called 9 Design Elements That Your Brand Absolutely Positively Needs. Go check that out. You can download it from my website. What brand assets do you have? Does your personal brand have? What are you missing? Do you have an identity, a color palette? Have you made choices around fonts or imagery or iconography? There's a broad range of elements that you need to have for your personal brand. So take stock, do an audit of what brand assets you have, and then you'll know exactly what it is that you're missing and what you may need to develop. So number 8 is implement. Get her done. There's a saying that says you want to plan the work and then work the plan. So by going through this process of assessment and developing a map of where you are, where you want to go, what you have and what you need, and who you're talking to, it will give you a clear idea of how to get to the next stage in your personal brand. And don't be afraid to start. Get out there. Don't be overwhelmed. Just take one step at a time. Be regular, be consistent, and I guarantee you it's going to be inspiring and it's going to take you to the next level. But the most important thing is just to start and get over the fear of starting. Because the best time to start was yesterday, the second best time is today. And taking that first step and making that first move is always the hardest, but it's also the most satisfying. And once you do, you're going to feel a tremendous amount of self-accomplishment. And remember, you only have to start once. And once you do it, it feels really great. And most importantly, when you take that next step or you achieve that next goal, make sure you can take a moment and congratulate yourself. For every step getting to that new future state of your personal brand is a job well done. And remember, be consistent and never quit. So I hope you enjoyed part 2 of Brand Yourself or Die. And if you did, hit subscribe below so you can see my videos when they come out. And visit me at my website, philipvandusen.com, and shoot me a note. I'd love to hear about your successes and challenges with your own brand or creative practice. And while you're there, subscribe to my newsletter, Brand Muse. It comes out every 2 weeks, and I share insights and trends and methods in branding and graphic design for entrepreneurs and creative professionals. And with that, thanks again for watching. Bye for now.